After losing in his second straight Texas Bowl, Owen Walensky came into the 2028 season with vengeance on his mind, as the junior not only still needed to prove himself to NFL scouts if he wanted to get drafted high, but he still wants to win at Iowa State, and that is going to be his main goal heading into this season. And that all starts in Week 0 versus Tulane. And this entire game was so close all the way through. We punted on our first drive and they got a touchdown out of it. But then on our second drive, I rolled out to the left, threw a deep bomb, and Abdul Swain somehow caught it, and we tied it right back up. Our defense then held strong for a couple of drives, and we were able to capitalize with a touchdown on an out route to the tight end. And although they did get a touchdown to tie it right before halftime, after a couple of insane passes like this, all the way back across the field, like essentially horizontal pass, and a couple other insane deep bombs, like this one, and this one, we were able to get into field goal range and took the lead into halftime. Unfortunately, though, they did get a touchdown on their opening drive and wasted a lot of time. We did, however, manage to get a field goal on our first drive before they got 10 points after a couple of our punts heading into the fourth quarter. And at this point, with only 6 minutes left in the game, I was feeling so defeated. Everything was going wrong with penalties and everything. I still hadn't thrown a pick yet. And on 4th and 10, it just felt like they were going to get the ball in our territory. But luckily enough, I put it right on my target, and he was able to snake forward for the first down. But once again, another 4th down, and again, 4th downs, especially 4th and longs, not very easy to convert, especially when you're throwing into double coverage. But we made it work somehow again, and we still have life. But then after a couple of sacks and a penalty, we had 4th and 22, where this game just, it had to be over. But once again, I threw into double coverage in the end zone, and Abdul Swain came up with the touchdown to make it a one-possession game. And we did go for 2, but it did not end up working out. And at this point, I still felt defeated because Tulane, all they had to do was run the clock out, and they couldn't even do that. So we still had life. And after a couple of good passes to get our way down the field, we had another 4th down, this time 4th and goal, and this was for the game. And you know what? We converted to Gideon Omame to take the lead with 11 seconds left. Oh my goodness, honestly, at the time, I still felt that we lost. It was just, it didn't really feel like we won, because I was just sad, because there was a lot of penalties, there was a lot of just stuff going not my way, and somehow, after having the ball in a 4th and 22, down by 10, with only 3 minutes left, we won the freaking game to move to 1-0. Absolutely insane. So now moving into week 2, we played FCS Midwest, and despite them having the lead for a little bit off of a field goal, this was not even close, as you would at least hope, because we ended up winning 52-3 off of my 401 yards, 60 rushing yards, and 7 touchdowns. Ties my record from last year for most passing touchdowns in a game. And I even won Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week. But now we have the Cy-Hawk Trophy against Iowa, and this is a very, very important game. Obviously, the Iowa-Iowa State rivalry is very intense, and I've only played in one game so far, and we lost it last year. This game, I really want to win, because this is the only time I will be playing in Iowa Stadium, and I want to make it worthwhile. And of course, immediately, there was an issue, as previously, when I was doing something else in CFB 26, I had locked the camera to, where it was, so that I don't know 100% why I did it, but in Road to Glory, this means that you get stuck with the worst possible camera angle, and at this point, I was not about to leave the game, which I probably should have, to fix this, because now I got stuck with a camera angle that I cannot see the outside receivers. I basically have to put everything on an audible to a slant or a drag or something like that. I could barely throw deep. So that was a great start to this game, but we made it work really well as we quickly got down the field before Lewis Byers punched it in for the touchdown. And I'm gonna be honest, this entire game was very, very Midwest. It was very entertaining because it was essentially close the whole time. But to a normal person, this would be very boring. So let's just walk through it as we punted on the next drive. We did get another touchdown after that, and they did get a field goal. But then it was punt, turnover on downs, punt, finally another touchdown by the fourth quarter. But as you can see, Iowa, again, they're all defense, no offense, and we were doing good enough against their defense. And while playing it, it was very, very tense because it was a close game. But I really did not need to worry about anything, as our defense held their terrible offense is what it was. And we were able to get away with the Cy Hawk Trophy, baby. And this was absolutely massive. This is what I'm happy about out of this season. I can lose it next season, and I can lose a bowl game or whatever. This is what really matters. And we did it in pretty entertaining fashion. And of course, to celebrate, we had a little BBQ party at my coach's house. And it wasn't required, but of course, it was my Midwest nice. I was feeling good anyway, but I was probably going to do this anyway. I had to go early to help set up. I'm just that, I kind of had to. I would have felt guilty if I just went there and didn't help at all, so that was very fun. And now on to Texas Tech. And this was a very, very good game. As although, at least for us, it did start out with a sack, so on a 4th and 27, we did punt. And then they did get a touchdown out of it. But after a nice, solid drive, I found the slant for the touchdown on a very nice pass, I might say, to tie it up. And on the next drive, I found Gideon once again to go up by 7. Before out of nowhere, I'm pretty sure they got a fumble on a kickoff or something. They got 14 points and took the lead right back. But no need to worry, as we have Gideon Omame, and on a jet touch pass, he took it in for his 3rd touchdown of the day. Of course, I had to spread the love, so on the next drive later in the half, I placed it right in the corner of the end zone for Gabriel Klein to go up 28-21 heading into half. And from this point, we kind of just pulled apart as I threw a couple of deep passes, including this massive bomb and then this touchdown to go up by 14. Before Texas Tech struggled for a little bit, we punted once, but we eventually did get into the end zone once again. And, we had pretty much entire control, and by the time that they even had a shot and they were in one score, we were kneeling the ball out with a big dub. And this was pretty good for me. I had 71 completion percentage, 369 yards, and 6 touchdowns. With, of course, no picks. And immediately after, I got an NIL offer from Too Fast Athletics, and I'm getting a skill point out of it for 1 energy. Of course I was going to do that. And overall, I did take pretty much every... I don't think I declined a single NIL offer this year, because most of them are incredibly good deals. There's not a bad NIL offer, at least that I've seen in this game. But then, for the next 2 games, it was not exactly close. As we played UCF at home, and they've certainly fallen very far from when, in my freshman year, we were getting cooked by them, to the complete opposite. And we basically just exploded in the first half, and then, our defense kind of just held them for long enough. They did make it technically close, but it was never really a competition. And to celebrate, Gabriel Klein, my tight end, invited me over to play EA College Football. So of course I had to, and I had to pick my playing style, and the only one that really fit me generally was probably the DBL Mug Blitz Cheeser. I don't really like to do the Blitz, but I definitely do a lot of DBL Mug, and apparently they didn't like that. It's sore losers, dude, come on. I'm trying to be good at the game, and you think I'm cheesing it? Get out of here. But he's still my teammate, so, gotta respect him. But I guess as revenge, because Gabriel Klein is literally my roommate, he invited a bunch of people over, and he said it wouldn't be too crazy, and I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. So I'm not gonna decline him from bringing people over, that's his business. But apparently they were loud as hell, and obviously I'm not gonna tell him to turn it down. I'm not confrontational like that, okay? So I just let it be, and we were on a bye week anyway, so it was fine. But again, as I said, Cincinnati was the next of our victims, and they fell pretty quickly. We're now finally in the top 10, number 8 in the nation, still undefeated, feeling very, very good. And against Cincinnati was absolutely no competition for us. I had 4 touchdowns and no picks once again. But now heading into a rivalry against one of the better teams in the Big 12, number 15 Kansas State, and they're undefeated and they are our rival. And I started out firing fast, making dots all across our very first drive, until on a 4th down, which our coach actually wanted us to go for, which I was very surprised, but still very happy, and I rewarded him with a 1st down in the middle of triple coverage, before Lewis Byers ran it in to take the lead early. In the next drive on 3rd and goal, I threw an absolute dime, but my receiver couldn't even hang on to it, and we had to kick a field goal, which at this point was good enough for the lead, as they did take a touchdown, and we were up by 3, but then we punted twice, 3 times, and then I threw a pick. But hey, they didn't do anything with it, and after all of those drives of punts and everything, they only had 3 more points. I found Gideon for a touchdown. In the next drive, after a long slant pass, Lewis Byers ran it in again, and again, Kansas State could not get anything going on offense, so we ended up winning off of that to beat them 24-10 in a massive game to essentially clinch our iron fist over the Big 12 Conference, confirming our spot as basically in the conference championship. Again, there's a lot of games to be played, but this was by far and away the best opponent at this time besides us in the Big 12. Then I got an NIL deal from Logitech, who would give me 8 skill points and leadership for 1 energy. How am I going to decline that? And then my midterms came in and they were not great, but I do not care because they were passing, and I don't really need to talk about academics because I just did enough to scrape by, and that is all you need to do to be able to play football. So, but then for the next 4 straight games, it was domination. So let's just speed right through all of them. First of all, we headed down to Salt Lake City for Utah, where after 5 passing touchdowns, we had beaten them 45-16. And that game, in fact, actually gave me the single season record at Iowa State for passing touchdowns. And obviously, it was not that high of a mark. It was only 29. I believe Brock Purdy had 28. So, I mean, it was not that difficult to do. I believe last year I tied it. So, to have this good of a season is not surprising that I already broke it. And then against Baylor in a night game, just the same thing over and over again. A lot of touchdowns. Not a lot of offense on their side of the ball. I finished with well over 400 passing yards and a good completion percentage, and then I got an NIL offer from Double Dip Donuts. Why not? Then I got another one for Psych Sports Solutions. At this point, I'm not really like a celebrity, so I guess all these contracts and NIL deals or whatever are just running up, and then I'm instantly getting new ones, so I'm just going to keep signing them. But now over to West Virginia. This is a very fun game because it was full-on throwback, and I just did the throwbacks for both of us, and it works because it was pretty opposite colors, obviously both tan pants, but I think it looked great, and we looked great scoring touchdowns in them as we completely dominated. They did technically come back a little bit by the end, but we had scored enough points to still win 36-28. Then once again, another NIL offer by Vitaliz Physiotherapy. I didn't decline a single one. Then over to Kansas, which I am kind of sad that I didn't record this when the new update happened and they had their real, like cornfield end zones. That would have been cool. Anyway, we still destroyed them, so yeah, not much, not anything new. But I will say that at this point in the season, I mean, my entire career so far through essentially 2.5 years has been I've been hit a lot, essentially. My offensive line are terrible. And the issue with that is that wear and tear is very realistic, and my season health is completely gone by this point. And what that means is that I literally cannot spend energy on my health because I'm that hurt, and I just can't fix it until next season. And either way, my career health is very, very low as well, and it's all because I just take way too many hits. I always try to get the ball away, and my offensive line is just not good. I don't run the ball a lot because my offensive line sucks, so I can't run the ball, so this is not looking good, and these injury issues would really rear their ugly head in Houston. It started out perfectly normally, as our defense was dominating through the first half. And we got a field goal on the first drive before somehow missing the field goal after getting way into their territory. I guess with the hashes and whatnot, probably wasn't the easiest kick. But then we did get a touchdown on the next drive to go up by 10. We then did a little bit of punting before getting it in once again to Gideon to go up by 17. Before they did get a touchdown, and then on the next drive, I got hit. The ball came loose and it somehow ended up in their hands. They scored once again heading into halftime. And then the next drive I got hit once again. The refs were rigging the game, so when I threw it away as I got hit, they said that the penalty was on me for throwing it away in the pocket, which is complete and utter bullshit. And EA seriously needs to fix this. I usually just turn it off, but I haven't yet, because sometimes it is realistic and I shouldn't be doing that. But I got hit. And the next drive I got hit to cause a 3rd and 13. Where I would get hit again. And multiple times this game. Again and again. Free rushers that just are welcome to hit me. And then I got hit again. I did throw a dime. But, at this point they tied it up. And then I threw an interception. Because I was so unbelievably frustrated with my offensive line. And mainly my coach. As, at this point, I'm one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. We had a perfect record. We were much better than Houston. Our backup would have more than likely won this game, and even if we didn't, we would still be in a perfect place to win the Big 12 and then get into the playoffs. There is absolutely zero reason to just continue to injure me and to have me battered, but he just wanted me out there, and he would pay for it, as I just kept getting hit. And they would take the lead and turn it over on 4th and inches, and again, just getting hit over and over and over again. And Houston thought that this was an impressive win when really my coach should have been celebrating the win over me, as he completely just destroyed my mental and absolutely my physical by keeping me out there, and my offensive line being disgustingly terrible. And I made this clear that it was my coach's fault when a student newspaper reporter asked me about it later. I guess the good thing, I did break the career record for passing touchdowns already, but I just don't really care at this point, as my health is all the way low. I have minus 19 on everything. Like, why would my coach want me out there? It's insane to me. And obviously, I guess I did train a little bit. I wasn't able to train before because I can't heal myself then, right? I just spend it all on leadership. Either way, though, we have the Big 12 championship to look forward to. And we were playing Texas Tech at Jerry World. And it started out well. Of course, I did get hit on this play, but I got a touchdown, so, we take points. We then punted the next drive, as they went up by a possession off of our mistakes. We then punted again, and then actually converted a 4th down, which we made into a field goal. Before, of course, as I was getting hit, threw it into double coverage, and it was picked off. And I was, again, just I was so jittered. I was mainly just annoyed at my coach. And by the time it was 28-10, I did throw a couple of dimes from here on out, I'll be honest. But at this point, I was so hurt. I kept getting hit. There was no reason for me to be down 18 late in the game. We were going to have a bowl game anyway. We could maybe make the playoff anyway. We were still really good. There's no reason to have me out here. And I was screaming at my coach. But on my last drive, I got hit and I got hurt. But as I did it, I threw the touchdown. My receiver made a guy miss. And I gave us just a little bit of oomph. But somehow, with 3.5 minutes left, down 31-17, my backup forced motherfucking overtime. First possession, both of us kicked field goals. Then the next one, both of us got touchdowns. In the 2-point conversion, before in the 2-point conversion, overtime 3, Keelan Illuminor took the lead and we won the Big 12. I couldn't even be mad anymore. I was just so happy, especially for him to get an opportunity to have a little bit of a Tua Tagovailoa moment. Oh, or a Nick Foles moment, you could say. Oh my god, this was so special. This was what should have happened by Houston. He should have been the starter. Well, maybe not starter, because I probably wouldn't have gotten, fully hurt, but man, this was awesome, and we won the Big 12, and I mean, I know I didn't win the Big 12 championship game, I threw interceptions, I didn't help us in the game, but I still gave us 11 wins. I was undefeated in games I played all the way through, and man, this was awesome, and we actually got a college football playoff spot. But first, the awards. This pissed me off. I had 4,500 passing yards, 43 touchdowns, only 11 interceptions, 70% completion percentage, and I wasn't even in the Heisman race, let alone any quarterback award race at all. Which is insane. I was at least, when I was looking at the stats, I was probably at least third in Heisman in any normal, not EA Sports year, and I wasn't, which was so dumb. But I guess the injuries and I guess some of the late interceptions did not take kindly to the awards. And we did get a couple of awards, which I guess was nice, but what really mattered was winning the college football playoff. And we actually got to host round 1, which was very, very cool. And we had number 9 Miami come to town. And once again, my coach decides to jog me out there when I have no health. If I get even poked, I might just crumble and actually just turn into dust. So I was out there for a couple of plays. I threw an incompletion because my receiver has bricks for hands. I threw about 15 yards on a 3rd and 7, and then as I was throwing to my B target, I tried to get it to him. He was wide open, but I got hit. And I got hurt for the whole game. I should have not started, but, I guess this works. And this time I slowed it down because I wanted us to win so bad. And obviously, simulating through it, we got a field goal. And, I mean, overall, this was a very, very close game through and through. And we were handling Miami. They had one of the better offenses in the nation. We got a touchdown eventually. They got a touchdown. Again, it was very, very close. Very, very defensive. Punting was very off. I mean, I guess whatever. You'd have to slow it down to watch for yourself. But by the 4th quarter, it was 10-10. Then we took the lead 17-10. I was feeling so good because Miami had not been great on offense. But they did tie it up. And once again, we had overtime for my backup. And I was just cheering the guy on so hard as Miami only got a field goal in the first overtime. And we got a field goal as well. We then got a touchdown but missed the 2-point conversion, which would prove deadly as Miami got the touchdown and won it off of the 2-point conversion. Very, very unfortunate, I will say, but we still made it here. I had probably the best single Iowa State quarterbacking season of all time. And no matter how stupid my coach is, no matter how terrible my offensive line was, I had a pretty good time along the way. But I do have a very, very big decision coming up. Try to win with Iowa State and just tank the injuries, and I won't be able to literally get healthy probably by like halfway through the season, or just leave for the NFL now and try to win there. But either way, thank you so much for watching. The decision will be next week, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. See ya.